Today we are going to go over how to format our route ticket labels to keep track of chemical readings. This is going to be super important if you are a pool company, of course. The first thing that we need to do in order to format our route ticket labels is to create a route ticket in the desktop software. Now this is something that typically won't be done because most route tickets will be created on the mobile application, and then those of course will sync into the desktop software. So we have the service program open here. We're going to go ahead and click Route Info along the top toolbar. We're going to navigate to the ticket entry area of this submenu. And that will open up this screen right here. Now there's some required information that we have to input before we can start to edit our route ticket labels. To create a route ticket, the first thing that we need to do is select a customer's name. We then need to select a route. So I'm going to go ahead and select R1. We also need to input an arrival time and a departure time. And again, this is just a test ticket, so it doesn't really matter what we input here. I'm going to go ahead and use 12 a.m. and 12:30 a.m. as our arrival and departure time. Once we have this information input, we can head to the top of this route ticket screen and click on the Edit Field Names button. That will open up our field name maintenance. Now this is the area where we can begin to input labels for tracking chemical readings and potentially chemical usage. Now what's important to know on this screen is the column all the way to the right that says type of field. So the type of field, which we have text, number, drop down, check, which is short for checklist, and date, corresponds to what type of information your field technician is expected to input within the field. So I can tell you right out of the gate here that most pool companies are not going to use the text fields because they want to keep their field technicians' life as simple as possible. We don't need them typing paragraphs in for what they've done or for what they need to keep track of when they're out servicing a pool. Any label that you do not plan on using, you can simply remove by clicking into the label field and then using the backspace on your keyboard to remove the label. That will hide it on the mobile application. Now the number fields are going to be important. This is where we could input labels such as free chlorine reading. We're expecting our technician to input a number. So maybe the chlorine level for a pool is 2.5. We could also input chlorine added in gallons. Now if you charge for chemical usage, you will more than likely already have a chlorine line item set up under your customer specific pricing. And that's used for billing purposes. But if you want to be able to generate reports to figure out a sum or the average amount of chlorine that you are giving to your customers, you can also create a label on this field name maintenance screen for chlorine added in gallons, tabs added. That way when we run our route ticket reading report, we can determine, how much chlorine have we used this past month, or how much chlorine have we given out this past month, or how many tabs have we given our customers this past week. And that's a nice feature that we'll be able to use. We could also input things such as pH, total alkalinity, and you more than likely will have a good idea of how you want to format your route ticket labels. We have 30 number fields that you can use, and again, any numbers that you do not use or any fields that you do not use, all you need to do is just blank out the label. So beyond the number type of field, we have our drop-down fields. So drop-down fields are similar to a text type of field, except it doesn't require your technician to input an answer. All he needs to do is select an answer from a drop-down. So a common one in the pool industry would be water clarity. Every time your technician goes out to service a pool, if you'd like to know the level of clarity that pool, or the state that pool is in, is it clear, is it murky, is it green? You don't want your guys to type that in every single time. We can make things a little bit more simpler than that by providing some preset answers, and in a few moments I'll show you how to do that. The next field, which is very common, is the checklist field. So we could put skim, emptied baskets, things that you expect your technician to do while he's out servicing a pool. If we create them as a checklist here, all they'll need to do is use a little slider to let you know whether or not they skimmed the pool, emptied the baskets, those types of things. Date fields are rarely used in the pool industry, so we're going to go ahead and blank those out. Once we've formatted our route ticket labels here, all we need to do is click close. If I close this route ticket that we've created and head back to the route ticket list, and I'm going to go there by clicking route info, and two below ticket entry is route ticket list. We can open up our route ticket. This is the one that I created here for 10555 Malilea Drive. Right here, the order column, this is the number that the ticket received. If I double click that number, that will open up our route ticket. And as you can see, we can see the information that we've input: free chlorine reading, chlorine added in gallons. If I go to group 2, this is where we see our water clarity. If I hit this drop down, right now we only have some test options for answers that we can select. We definitely need to populate this with something a little bit more informative to what information we're trying to get out of our field technician. All we need to do is double click in this blank answer field. That will open our drop down field maintenance screen. So water clarity was drop down 1. So right here, we're going to change the answer from test option 1 to clear, test option 2 to murky, test option 3 to green. The last column is the order column. That's the order in which these will appear on the mobile application. So right now we have clear as number 1. So when they're looking at the water clarity drop down on the mobile app, and they hit the drop down to input an answer, clear would appear. If we had a second drop down label input and we need to provide answers for that label, all we have to do is on the left hand side, flip drop down 1 to drop down 2. We could put in an answer such as yes. And if we need to add additional answers, we can do so by selecting drop down 2 and inputting no. Can absolutely change the order number there. And from here you should get the picture. Once we're done, we just need to click close. And now group 2, water clarity, if I hit this drop down, we should see clear, murky, and green. The last thing that we need to do to ensure that this all appears on the mobile application is to perform a sync with our mobile devices. So along the top toolbar, I'm going to click our Sync Mobile Devices button here. That will open up this screen. We can select this drop down, and we're going to be specific with what we're going to sync here. We're going to select Route Tickets and then click Sync. Once that sync is completed or has completed, then the route ticket labels that we've input will now appear on the mobile application.